Boker Tov, good morning. Today is Friday, August 13th, Erev Shabbat, Parshat Shoftim. And Shoftim deals with the people who will lead us, the people who would lead us. Shoftim Shotrim, the people that we're supposed to appoint as judges and as policemen, the people who are going to help establish the law, adjudicate the law, and enforce the law. So it begins with the rule of law. And then it shifts to the specific leader, that of the king. When the people say that they will want a king, Asim alai melech, som tasim alecha melech, God says, go ahead. I want you to make a king, and we have some rules about where they come from. And then the Torah offers an interesting triple concern in halacha, that there are three things we want to make sure the king does not do. One, you should not have lots of horses, a whole array of horses, a vast array of horses, because we're afraid you're going to head down to Egypt to get your horses. Interesting question about whether or not, since horses don't seem to be indigenous to Egypt, they come from Asia, would there not have been another path to get horses elsewhere? But that apparently would have been a simple route to go get your horses in Egypt. And God doesn't want us to go back to Egypt. We don't want to have that alliance. We suddenly are turning our attention back towards Egypt for our for things. Okay. Second, v'lo yarbeh nashim. He shouldn't have many wives. V'lo yasur levavo. So that he shouldn't turn his heart astray. And he shouldn't have lots of gold and silver and gold either. So we have explanation for the first two and not for the last. We can conjecture why one wouldn't be allowed to have lots of silver and gold. That too can corrupt you. When it comes to the women in the king's life, he should not have many, so that they should not to turn his heart. His heart should not be turned right away. The involvement in that encounter, or the many encounters. So if you have the halacha seems to be, I'll just put it out that we should know it. What does lo yarbeh mean? Don't have too many. Based on Rashi says, based on the verses in Shmuel Beit, David had 6 wives, and they were told the ma'at ve'osif lecha kahena b'chahena. You could, if that's too few, we could even imagine kahena v'kahena like that, and even more like that, which would mean tripling it. Up to 18 wives apparently would be within the allowed range. More than 18 wives would not be. It's a troubling harem that you would have, and I can understand why it could end up keeping the king preoccupied or occupied where he shouldn't be. And so the Yisur Levavo from his job, or perhaps succumb to in one way and again towards sexual impropriety. We think about these verses, even as we see one person in a great and powerful position who was felled this week by his own undoing. The way he did not have a harem at all, but his interactions with women indeed was troubling, to say the least. And it's not here for us to go into those details. And one wonders whether lo yasur levavo will be not just distraction from his job, but indeed distraction towards being a different type of person than the king needs to be. The leader needs to be. And indeed, that's where the Torah turns our attention. And it shall be when he sits upon his royal throne. He should write for himself this book. Sefer Devarim, maybe the whole Torah. He should have this right there with him. He should have that Torah with him, and he should read it every day of his life. So he can learn how to observe the whole Torah. But additionally, so that he doesn't allow himself to grow so arrogant above his brethren, and so that he doesn't turn from the commandment right to left, so that he can have a length of days, he and his children, in playing the role of the ruler. These are just such important warnings to us about the nature of having authority, having power, what we begin to think about ourselves, how we imagine our role, what it is that we tell ourselves is okay to do. I don't know if it's always because we have power, but it's certainly something we find with many people who have it, and the way in which we even carry ourselves, such that we think of ourselves in a different kind of way than the rest of those who work for us, who we are meant to lead. And that the Torah says we've got to find the counterforce to that, because it can eat you up and bring you down. Even really good people who have so many important things that they've accomplished and so much good that they could have done and wanted to do. But once and again we see it, that people who have been given the opportunity to lead us fail us, but fail themselves first. And that's the tragedy. And so the Torah says, let's find the ways to give boundaries to what he's allowed to do, and set ways to constantly keep the person focused on the right and good and narrow path that will enable him to play the role that he wishes to play, he and his children after him, in leading any people. Those are just good words to think about this week. Have a Shabbat Shalom.